Vegetable Varieties, Jan Kaml.
Mr. Toastmaster, our own DJ here. Yes, have you been to the grocery store lately? One green pepper, 79 cents. A red pepper, $1.50. A head of lettuce, $1.69. I hate it. I search the stores every week to find the lowest prices on everything I can when I have to buy them. Because I do have to buy food just like we all do. But I'm tired of it. I don't want to pay those prices. So I want to talk about how to grow your own. Does anyone have a garden? Does anyone grow vegetables? Wow, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 people in here grow their own. No, I'm not talking about that. What kind of gardens do we have? There are different types of gardens we can make. If we have a small place, we have maybe a patio garden, some plants on it. If we have a yard, maybe we have a below ground garden, or better yet, a raised garden. Because in Arizona, what do we have on the ground? Hard packed clay.
Yes.
It sustains adobe homes that were built 100 years ago. That's how hard the soil is here. So by making an above ground garden and amending that soil, we can combat that problem and make a very fertile environment to raise our own vegetables. If you perhaps have a patio garden, you can still grow lots of vegetables in containers. Buy some large pots. If you can't afford large pots, those old pool filters are wonderful when they're cut in half. The ones that hold the sand that stand about yay tall. You can grow an enormous amount of vegetables in a very small space. Which brings me to my first item, the Square Foot Gardening book. I've had this particular book for 20 years or more, Mel Bartholomew's Square Foot Gardening. And I still, after gardening all my life, use this book. And I still tie the little strings in the 12-inch squares within my raised bed frame so that I can accurately plant as many vegetables as possible. I've brought a sampling of the vegetables that I picked from my garden about an hour before I got here. I have wonderful vegetables every day on my table. Hopefully this meets with your guidelines on the reduced carbs and better eating and healthier for you. Here we also have 2 seasons. Hot and hotter, right? Agreed? Basically, it's the cool season from October through March, and then the hot season from April through September. There are definitely vegetables that do well in the cool season and those that do well in the hot season. By knowing exactly which ones to plant, such as these here, peas. Do you think these are a hot weather vegetable or a cool weather vegetable? Just an idea. Any guesses? Cool, you're right. And on the other hand, beans that are very similar are a hot weather vegetable. They each just have their particular environments that they are suited for best. In the cool season, when you would plant your vegetables, you might start them out in little pots, just like this, and plant your seeds carefully in each of the container sections so that you can be ready to plant outside when the weather does cool down and get a head start on it. This winter was a little rough. We had to run out many, many nights and cover everything. We all experienced frost and dead plants. So it's very important to cover your vegetables and take good care of them. In planting, we have vegetables that grow above ground and vegetables that grow below the ground. In the cool season and in the hot season. We have the root vegetables, root crops, such as beets, turnips, rutabagas, carrots, and potatoes. Some of those like cool weather, some like hot weather. Then we have all the above ground vegetables, like lettuces, all the brassicas, which are the broccoli, the Brussels sprouts, the cabbage, and the cauliflower. Those are all above ground, cool weather vegetables. Also many types of lettuce, green leaf lettuce, red leaf lettuce, romaine lettuce, all those wonderful things. And one I learned lately, radicchio. What is that? It's radish tops, for heaven's sakes. Would you know that? And how about beets? That's one of the root crop vegetables that does grow in the cooler weather. But we also learned something you might not know. Those beet greens are about the most delicious I've ever had.
Yes.
Have you ever thought you could eat the green tops of the beets?
Yes.
They're delectable.
Yes.
Swiss chard, cool weather, warm weather, it's still growing. The most delicate, flavorful, better than spinach if you like that type of a vegetable to grow. Wonderful vegetables. All of these I picked today. These carrots that I grew all winter long are still growing nice and tall. When they hit the clay soil, they do things like this. When they hit a rock, they go, okay, let's go this way instead. So you get some interesting varieties when you grow your own. The first of many of my cucumbers, pickling cucumbers, guys. A little vinegar, a little sugar, some spices in a jar, cut this up in quarters, and you don't have to pay the price for those pickles. Claws and pickles, exact same thing. Never boiled or cooked. They're cold, filtered in the jar. Summer squash is always a wonderful favorite. Do you know how much these two squash would cost? Any guess?
They're about 25, yeah.
Yeah, at least. For anywhere from $1.25
Yeah.
to $1.79 or so
Yes.
for a couple of these.
Just a count, yeah.
When in fact, this package costs $1.99. And after planting this season, I still have this many left for next year. Because I plant them in the 4 squares, in 12-inch squares, and I can get 16 carrots in 1 square. I had about 4 squares of carrots. That's why I'm still pulling them. They're wonderful, a few at a time, and they keep right there in the ground until you're ready to use them. You don't have to have rotting vegetables in your pantry. And zucchinis, this time of year, I gave away so many yesterday that this was the one that I had today. And it was about that big yesterday. They grow like incredible. So peppers, this is the first of my new green bell peppers. 2 for $1 on sale. When not on sale, these are almost $1. Red peppers are like $1.50. And everyone's favorite, of course, the tomatoes. The most wonderful flavor. Organically grown, which brings me to the next part I want to talk about. How do we want to grow these vegetables? What you get from the store is sprayed with something we have no idea. We wash them off and we wonder what that is. You don't have to have that. Dump all your refuse, used vegetable tops, such as this, your grass from your yard, all in a pile, give it a little water too, and it'll grow just like the veggies. It'll grow into the most wonderful compost. To help with that clay soil, we want to mix compost, we want to mix, are you talking to me? Okay, we want to mix the compost, we want a mixture of compost and sand and fertilizer. So we want some type of a manure, something organic, so we don't get those sprays and pesticides and chemical fertilizers in our food. So this is the way that you can grow your own and avoid having that and have some wonderful, fabulous meals with your own food.